Virgo, stop everything right now. Whatever you're doing, wherever you are, I need your full attention for the next few minutes because what I'm seeing in your energy today is something I did not expect when I sat down with these cards. And I mean that literally. I came in ready for a standard reading. I came in prepared for the usual themes: love, opportunity, growth. And the moment I connected to your energy, the moment I shuffled these cards and felt what's moving around you right now, everything I planned to say went out the window because something happened. Something that you may have done quietly, privately, without fully understanding the magnitude of what you were doing. Something that felt to you like a personal decision, a boundary you finally set, a choice you finally made, a silence you finally held, a door you finally closed felt to someone else like the ground opening beneath their feet. You caused an earthquake, Virgo, in someone's life, in someone's world, in the carefully constructed reality of someone who believed they knew exactly who you were and exactly what you would and wouldn't do, and they were wrong. Before we go into the cards, if this is already resonating, if something in you already knows what I'm talking about, hit that like button, subscribe to this channel, and drop the word earthquake in the comments right now. Seal this energy because what I'm about to show you is going to change how you see the last few weeks of your life entirely. Let's get into it. The first card, the Tower. I pulled the first card and I actually laughed. Not because it's funny, because it's so perfectly, precisely accurate to what's happening that it feels almost like the universe is showing off. The Tower. Look at this card. A tall stone tower, solid and imposing, built to last, struck by a bolt of lightning so sudden and so direct that the crown at the very top is being thrown into the air. Flames erupting from the windows, two figures falling, the sky dark behind them and lit with fire at the same time. This card is not about you, Virgo. Let me be very clear about that. You are not the tower, you are the lightning. And here's what I mean by that. Someone in your life built a tower, not a physical one, an internal one, a structure of assumptions about you. A carefully arranged architecture of beliefs about what you would tolerate, what you would accept, how far you would go before you stopped, what it would take to make you leave, how long you would wait, how much you would absorb before you finally said enough. They built this tower over time, brick by brick, assumption by assumption, and it felt solid to them. It felt reliable. It felt like something they could count on. And then you did something they didn't account for. You changed. Or more accurately, you stopped hiding how much you'd already changed. You stopped performing the version of yourself they were comfortable with. You stopped fitting into the shape they decided you occupied. You made a move, quiet or loud, sudden or long in coming, that their entire internal structure had no room for. And it hit that tower like a lightning bolt. The Tower card doesn't show a slow deterioration. It doesn't show gradual erosion or gentle decline. It shows sudden, total, irreversible disruption. One moment the structure is standing. The next moment it is fundamentally and permanently changed. That's what you did to someone's sense of reality, Virgo. Not maliciously, not as an act of revenge or calculation, simply by finally being fully, completely, unapologetically yourself. They never saw it coming, and that is the most important part of this entire reading. The second card, the Eight of Swords reversed. The second card tells me what you broke free from in order to cause this earthquake. Because this didn't happen in a vacuum. This moment, this shift, this decision, this change in how you showed up, it was the result of something that had been building inside you for a very long time. The Eight of Swords reversed appeared, and this card in its upright position shows a figure blindfolded, bound, surrounded by eight swords stuck in the ground around her. She's not imprisoned by locks or walls. She's imprisoned by her own belief that she cannot move. The swords are there, but there's space between them. The blindfold is there, but it's loosely tied. She could walk out if she believed she could. Reversed, this card shows that figure finally removing the blindfold, finally testing the bonds and finding them looser than she thought, finally taking the first step and discovering that the swords were never as close as they felt. Virgo, this is what happened inside you before you made the move that shook someone else's world. You had a moment of clarity. It may have arrived quietly in the middle of an ordinary day, in a still moment between obligations, maybe at 3 in the morning when the truth is hardest to avoid. A moment where you saw your situation with sudden and complete lucidity, where the story you'd been telling yourself about why you had to stay, why you had to keep accommodating, why you had to keep being smaller than you were, that story lost its power. And once that story lost its power, everything changed. Because you realized something that the other person in this situation had been counting on you, never realizing. You had a choice. You had always had a choice, and you were finally ready to make it. The earthquake didn't start in their life. It started in yours. It started the moment you removed your own blindfold. What they experienced was just the aftershock of your internal liberation reaching the external world. The third card, the Knight of Wands. The third card shows me the energy with which you made your move, the quality of it, the spirit of it, because how you did this matters as much as what you did. The Knight of Wands charged into this reading with an energy I felt before I turned the card over. Look at this knight, mounted on a rearing horse, moving fast, plume on his helmet blazing like a flame, holding his wand like he was born holding it. This is not someone who moves timidly. This is not someone who made a half move and then waited to see how it would be received. This is someone who, once they decided, moved with complete commitment, full conviction. No hedging, no softening, no leaving the door open for a retreat. Virgo, when you finally moved, you moved like this. And that is exactly what made it so seismic for the other person, because they had experienced your hesitation before. They had experienced your patience, your willingness to wait, your capacity for giving things more time and more chances than most people would have. They had perhaps mistaken that patience for permanence, had perhaps concluded that your staying was not a choice but a fact, a fixture, something that would simply continue regardless of what they did or didn't do. And then you moved with the energy of the Knight of Wands, decisive, clear, completely without ambiguity. And there was nothing in their internal architecture, nothing in that tower they built that had prepared them for that version of you. For some of you, this decisive movement was leaving, walking away from something that was no longer serving you with a clarity and a finality that left no room for misinterpretation. For others, it was staying but changing the terms entirely, refusing to continue participating in a dynamic the way it had always worked, drawing a line so clearly and holding it so firmly that the entire relationship had to restructure itself around your new boundary. For others, still, it was speaking, finally saying the thing you'd been swallowing for months or years, not in anger, not in explosion, but with a calm and a certainty that hit harder than any explosion would have. Whatever form it took for you specifically, the energy was the Knight of Wands. And that energy is not one people recover from quickly. The fourth card, the Moon. The fourth card shows me what's happening inside the person whose world you've shaken, what their internal experience looks like right now in the aftermath of what you did. The moon appeared, and it tells a story. Look at this card. A full moon hanging between two towers, its light reflecting on a still pool of water. A crayfish emerging from the water, beginning an uncertain journey toward the distant mountains. A dog and a wolf howling at the moon from opposite shores. The path forward visible, but bathed in the kind of light that makes everything look different from how it looks in the daytime. Shadows unfamiliar, shapes ambiguous, distances impossible to judge accurately. This is where that person is right now, in the moonlight, in the disorienting, beautiful, terrifying space where the certainties they relied on are no longer reliable and the path forward is visible but strange. They are questioning everything, and I mean that literally. The questions are coming in waves that they can't stop and can't answer. Why did you do what you did? Was it coming for longer than they realized? What did they miss? What could they have done differently? Is it reversible? Do you want it to be reversible? Do they? The moon is also the card of the subconscious surfacing, of things that were buried becoming impossible to keep buried. And what's surfacing for this person right now, what the earthquake of your decision has shaken loose from the depths of them, are feelings they had convinced themselves were manageable, contained, under control. They are finding out that they were not as under control as they thought. Some of you will recognize what I'm describing because you're already seeing the evidence of it, changes in their behavior toward you. An unusual silence where there used to be noise, or an unusual noise where there used to be silence. Attempts at contact that have a different quality than before, something more urgent, more raw, less composed. The carefully maintained exterior showing its cracks. The earthquake revealed what was underneath the surface for both of you. And what's underneath the surface for them is something they didn't expect to find there in such quantity and such intensity. You matter to them more than they showed you. The earthquake is proving it. The fifth card, the Fool reversed. A fifth card presented itself, and it's addressed directly to you, Virgo. Not to the situation, not to the other person, to you and to what Spirit needs you to understand about where you stand right now. The Fool reversed appeared. The Fool upright is new beginnings, stepping off the cliff with trust, with openness, with the beautiful recklessness of someone who believes the universe will catch them. Reversed, it's a caution. Not a stop sign, a caution, a gentle hand on the shoulder from Spirit saying, be thoughtful here. Don't rush. Don't let the momentum of what you've set in motion carry you somewhere you haven't consciously chosen to go. Because here's what's about to happen, Virgo, and I need you to be prepared for it. The person whose world you've shaken is going to reach toward you. If they haven't already, they will. The earthquake of what you did is going to produce a response, an attempt at conversation, at explanation, at reconnection, at understanding what happened and whether it can be addressed. And that reaching is going to feel significant because it is significant. The fact that you affected someone this deeply is real and it matters. But the Fool reversed is asking you to be very intentional about how you respond to that reaching. Not cold, not punishing, not closed off. The Queen of Cups energy that Virgo carries at its best, warm, receptive, emotionally intelligent, that energy is still appropriate here. But paired with discernment, paired with memory of why you made the decision you made, paired with a clear-eyed evaluation of whether what's being offered in the aftermath of the earthquake is actually different from what existed before it, or whether it's the same thing wearing the costume of urgency. The earthquake happened for a reason. You moved for a reason. Whatever clarity produced that movement, hold on to it. Let it inform how you receive what comes next. You are not obligated to rebuild what you walked away from. You are also not obligated to keep all the distance permanently if what you're offered in return is genuinely, substantively, demonstrably different. The Fool reversed just asks you to know the difference before you decide. The final card, Justice, the last card, the one that puts the seal on everything this reading has shown you today. Justice appeared, upright, clear, and completely unambiguous. A figure seated on a throne between two pillars, holding a sword in one hand and scales in the other. The sword, upright truth, discernment, the cutting away of what is not real. The scales, balanced, not tipped toward mercy or severity, but precisely, deliberately, honestly balanced. This card is the universe telling you what you did was right. Not right in a moral lecture sense, right in the sense of aligned, in the sense of true to who you actually are, in the sense of proportionate to what the situation required, in the sense of something that the universe itself is prepared to stand behind and validate and support with everything it has. Justice is not a card of revenge. I want to be clear about that because the earthquake metaphor, the dramatic imagery of towers falling and worlds shaking, none of that is about punishment. Justice doesn't deal in punishment. Justice deals in alignment, in the restoration of equilibrium, in things returning to the state they should have been in all along. And what justice is telling you is that the equilibrium is being restored. The scales are moving back toward balance. The dynamic that was unequal is restructuring. The situation that asked too much of you and gave too little in return is being corrected not by some external force imposing consequences, but by your own decision to stop participating in the imbalance. You are the justice card, Virgo. You are the sword and the scales. You did the thing that brought the situation back into alignment, and the universe is watching and saying, yes, that, exactly that. What comes next is proportionate to what you've put in. The faithfulness, the patience, the integrity you maintained throughout a situation that often didn't deserve it. All of that is being weighed. All of that is being counted. All of that is informing what gets to come into your life now that you've made room for it. The earthquake cleared the ground. Justice is now overseeing what gets built on it, and what gets built with your hands, on your terms, in alignment with who you actually are, is going to be more solid, more true, and more genuinely yours than anything that existed before the ground shook. Come back and tell me in the comments what this brought up for you. Tell me what the earthquake was. Tell me what decision you made that you didn't fully realize would shake someone's world. Tell me if you're already seeing the response, the reaching, the shift, the evidence of impact. Because these comments are what this work is for. Your story, your confirmation, your moment of recognizing yourself in what these cards describe. You did something brave, Virgo, something necessary, something that the most honest part of you had been waiting to do for longer than you let yourself admit. The earthquake was actually your freedom. And what follows earthquakes when the dust settles, when the ground stops moving, when the new landscape becomes visible, is always, always the opportunity to build something better. Start building, subscribe to stay in the energy, and I'll see you in the next one.